The air was thick with tension as Dr. Elara Vaz adjusted her scanner, its faint hum the only sound amidst the alien ruins. She swept her gaze over the desolate landscape, her breath catching in her throat. Towering spires of black stone reached toward the pale green sky, their surfaces etched with symbols that pulsed faintly, as if alive. This place wasn't just ancient, it was untouched, its secrets preserved for millennia. "Dr. Vaz, we're running out of daylight," called Lieutenant Mara Singh, her voice steady despite the eerie surroundings. Mara's helmet visor reflected the glow of the alien glyphs, a reminder of just how far they were from home. The solstice loomed on the horizon, its metallic hull a stark contrast to the organic curvature of the ruins. Elara's lips tightened. "We're close, Mara. This sight, it's extraordinary. The energy readings are off the charts." She crouched near a cluster of smaller stones arranged in a circular pattern, her scanner beeping insistently. "Extraordinary doesn't mean safe," interjected Captain Orion Kane over the comms, his deep baritone crackling with static. "Wrap it up, Elara. I'm not comfortable leaving the ship unguarded this long." "Understood," she replied curtly, though her fingers tightened around the scanner. Orion's cautious nature grated on her, but she couldn't deny his logic. Out here, caution was survival. Still, she wasn't about to leave without answers. Her scanner beeped again, more urgently this time. She turned toward the source, her pulse quickening. There, partially buried beneath the dust, was an object unlike anything she'd ever seen. Roughly the size of a human torso, it shimmered with an unnatural light, its surface adorned with intricate, flowing patterns that seemed to shift under her gaze. "Mara, over here," she called. The lieutenant was at her side in moments, her own scanner aimed at the object. "What is it?" Mara whispered, slipping into her usually disciplined tone. Elara shook her head. "I don't know. But it's emitting something. An energy signature I've never seen before." "Is it dangerous?" Orion's voice cut in, sharp and commanding. "Not immediately," Elara replied, though she couldn't ignore the faint unease curling in her stomach. The artifact seemed to hum faintly, a sound more felt than heard. "Not immediately isn't reassuring," Orion snapped. "If you can't guarantee our safety, leave it." "Leave it?" Elara's voice rose despite herself. "Captain, this could be the most significant discovery in human history. We're talking about definitive proof of intelligent extraterrestrial life. We're also talking about the safety of my crew," Orion countered. "Get it on board and secure it, but the first sign of trouble, it's gone. Are we clear?" Elara didn't reply. Instead, she gestured for Mara to help her carefully extract the artifact. Together, they lifted it into a containment field, the device's glow dimming slightly as it was enclosed. The hum persisted, faint and unsettling. Back aboard the Solstice, the artifact was secured in the lab's isolation chamber, surrounded by layers of reinforced glass and electromagnetic shielding. Elara paced the room, her mind racing. Mara had returned to her post, and the lab was eerily quiet, save for the occasional beep from the monitoring equipment. Orion entered, his tall frame dominating the doorway. "Report," he said brusquely. Elara gestured toward the chamber. "It's unlike anything we've encountered. The patterns on its surface seem to be a form of language, but it's not like any script we've catalogued. And the energy signature, it's layered. Almost alive." "Alive?" Orion's brow furrowed. "You mean it's a machine?" "Possibly. Or something more." Elara's voice was hushed, her excitement barely contained. "This could be the answer we've been searching for. Proof that we're not alone. Or proof that we've found something we shouldn't have," Orion said grimly. Elara opened her mouth to respond, but a sudden flicker of light caught her attention. The lab lights dimmed, then brightened again. A low, resonant tone filled the room, emanating from the artifact. "What was that?" Orion demanded, his hand instinctively going to his sidearm. Elara rushed to the control panel, her fingers flying over the interface. "The artifact, it's reacting." "But to what?" Before Orion could reply, the tone shifted, a deep vibration that seemed to resonate within their very bones. The lights flickered again, and for a brief moment, Elara thought she saw shapes. Flickering shadows moving just beyond the edges of the room, gone as quickly as they appeared. Dr. Voss, Orion growled, his voice tight. What the hell is happening? I don't know, Elara admitted, her voice tinged with both fear and wonder. But whatever this is, it's just the beginning. The low hum of the artifact reverberated through the lab, filling the air with an unsettling resonance. Dr. Elara Voss stared at it, her mind racing with questions. The strange symbols on its surface pulsed faintly, synchronized with a rhythmic vibration that seemed to defy logic. She tapped a sequence on her tablet, initiating a deeper scan. Anything yet? Lieutenant Mara Singh's voice broke the silence as she entered the lab. She leaned against the console, her eyes fixed on the artifact. Elara shook her head. Nothing definitive. The energy signature, it's not consistent. It's almost as if it's adapting. Adapting? Mara's eyebrows lifted. That's not exactly comforting. It's not meant to be, Elara muttered. She turned to face Mara, her expression tense. There's more. The symbols. I think they're a form of language, but the patterns don't align with anything in our database. It's as if they're shifting in response to the scans. Before Mara could respond, the lights in the lab flickered. The artifact's hum deepened, and a faint, melodic tone began to emanate from it. The sound was haunting, almost musical, but carried an edge of dissonance that set their nerves on edge. What's it doing now? Mara's voice tightened as she instinctively took a step back. It's broadcasting, Elara said, her eyes widening as the readings on her tablet spiked. The artifact is emitting a signal. Broadcasting to who? Captain Orion Kane's voice cut through the comm system. A moment later, he appeared in the doorway, his expression dark. That's what I'm trying to figure out, Elara replied. She tapped furiously at her tablet, pulling up a visualization of the signal. It's complex. Layered frequencies, modulating at rates faster than we can process. Orion crossed his arms, his eyes fixed on the artifact. And what happens if it's calling for something we don't want to meet? Elara glanced at him, her jaw tightening. You think I haven't considered that? This could be a distress call. Or it could be a message. Either way, we need to decode it. And risk the entire ship in the process? Orion shot back. We have no idea what this thing is capable of. Destroying it would erase any chance of understanding it, Elara countered. Her voice was firm, but there was a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. This is our best shot at proving we're not alone. Are you really willing to throw that away? The tension between them was palpable. Mara cleared her throat, breaking the stalemate. Guys? I hate to interrupt, but we've got a bigger problem. She pointed to the monitor, where a visual feed from outside the ship showed an eerie development. The planet's surface, previously still and silent, was changing. The ruins glowed faintly, their outlines shimmering as if caught in a heatwave. A massive, dormant structure near the artifact's discovery site began to stir, its surface splitting apart to reveal a network of intricate machinery. What the hell is that? Orion demanded, moving closer to the screen. It looks like it's responding to the artifact, Elara said, her voice barely above a whisper. She turned back to the artifact in the chamber, which now pulsed in time with the activity on the planet. The ship's comm system crackled, and the voice of Chief Engineer Raul Alvarez came through, laced with panic. Captain, we've got a situation. Systems are going haywire. Power fluctuations across the board. Stay on it, Alvarez, Orion barked, then turned to Elara. This is exactly what I was worried about. Whatever signal that thing's emitting, it's affecting the ship. We can't shut it down, Elara said quickly. Not until we understand what it's doing. If we interrupt the signal, we might trigger something worse. Orion stared at her, his jaw clenched. You'd better figure it out fast. Hours later, the situation had only escalated. The artifact's signal had stabilized into a repeating pattern, and Elara was working frantically to decipher its meaning. The rest of the crew was on high alert, monitoring the increasingly erratic behavior of the alien structure on the planet below. "It's a message," Elara said finally, her voice thick with exhaustion. She gestured to the holographic display, where a complex waveform pulsed rhythmically. "I've isolated a sequence that repeats every 15 seconds. It's deliberate. Can you translate it?" Mara asked, her tone hopeful but wary. Elara hesitated. "Not yet. But the structure on the planet, it's responding as if it understands. It's waking up." The lab lights dimmed again, and a faint vibration ran through the ship. A sudden burst of static erupted from the comms, followed by a chilling sound, a deep, guttural hum that seemed to resonate within their very bones. It was unlike anything they had ever heard, both mechanical and organic. "What was that?" Mara asked, her voice trembling. "Something's answering," Elara said, her eyes wide. "The signal isn't just broadcasting. It's communicating." Before anyone could respond, an alarm blared throughout the ship. The automated voice of the ship's AI cut through the chaos. "Warning, unidentified energy surge detected. Structural integrity at risk. Orion to bridge." The captain snapped into his calm. "What's going on?" "Captain, we're detecting a massive energy buildup in the alien structure," came the reply from the bridge officer. "It's targeting us." "Targeting?" Elara's heart sank. "We need to deactivate the artifact. Now. And risk triggering whatever's down there?" Orion shot back. "We don't even know if that's possible." Elara met his gaze, her determination cutting through her fear. "We have no choice. If we don't, this ship won't survive the next hour." Reluctantly, Orion nodded. "Do it." Elara moved quickly, initiating the shutdown sequence. The artifact's glow began to fade, its hum growing quieter. But as the signal waned, the alien structure below surged with energy, a final act of defiance. The ship shuddered violently, and the crew braced themselves for impact. But instead of destruction, there was silence. The artifact's hum ceased entirely, and the alien structure's activity subsided, its glow fading into darkness once more. "Status?" Orion demanded. "System stabilizing," Alvarez reported over the comm. Whatever was happening, it stopped. Elara exhaled, her shoulders slumping. But the relief was short-lived. On her monitor, a single line of alien text appeared, glowing faintly against the dark screen. She stared at it, her breath hitching as the translation algorithm parsed the symbols. "What does it say?" Mara asked, leaning in. Elara's voice was barely a whisper. "Prepare." The quiet was unnerving. The lab, moments ago a cacophony of alarms and energy surges, now felt as silent as a tomb. Dr. Elara Vaz stared at the single alien word glowing faintly on her monitor. "Prepare." It was as much a command as it was a warning. Her pulse raced as she tried to process what had just unfolded. "Prepare for what?" Lieutenant Mara Singh broke the silence, her voice sharp with unease. "That's the question, isn't it?" Captain Orion Kane entered the lab, his expression a mix of irritation and concern. "We've gone from finding a signal to waking up something on this planet. I need answers, Elara." "I'm working on it," Elara snapped, her exhaustion fraying her usual patience. She gestured toward the artifact, which now lay dormant in its containment chamber. "The signal shut down, but whatever that structure on the planet is, it's not dead. It's waiting." "Waiting for what?" Orion asked, his tone low and dangerous. Elara's fingers flew over the tablet as she reviewed the last bursts of data from the artifact before the shutdown. The structure's energy readings spiked when the artifact was active. "They're connected, and I think—" She hesitated, her mind racing to piece the puzzle together. "I think the signal was both a message and a key." Mara frowned. "A key to what?" "That's what I'm trying to figure out." Elara's voice rose, frustration laced with fear. "But the artifact, it's ancient, far more advanced than anything humanity has ever encountered. And this structure, this Sentinel, it was designed to respond to the artifact. When we activated it, we triggered, A chain reaction, Orion finished grimly. He crossed his arms, his jaw set. And now it's our problem to deal with. The comm system crackled, and Chief Engineer Raul Alvarez's voice cut through. Captain, we've got activity on the planet again. The structure's powering up, and we're picking up something else. It's movement. What kind of movement? Orion demanded, his tone sharp. Unclear, Alvarez replied. But whatever's down there, it's big. And it's heading for the artifact's location. Elara felt a chill crawl down her spine. It's coming for the artifact, she murmured. We need to figure out what this thing wants, or we're going to be caught in the crossfire. Or worse, Orion said. Mara, get the crew to high alert. If this thing makes a move toward us, I want defenses ready. On it, Mara replied, already heading for the door. The bridge of the Solstice buzzed with controlled chaos as the crew scrambled to prepare for the unknown. On the main view screen, the alien structure loomed, its surface alive with a web of shifting lights. Nearby, the ruins Elara and her team had explored earlier now seemed almost insignificant in comparison, dwarfed by the Sentinel's scale. Energy levels are rising again, Alvarez reported. It's charging something, but I can't tell what. Captain, Elara said urgently, we can't approach this as a threat. The artifact's message was clear: prepare. This isn't an attack, it's communication. If we retaliate, we might provoke it into something catastrophic. And if we do nothing? Orion countered. It could wipe us out anyway. Elara hesitated, then pointed to the monitor displaying the artifact's final transmission. The message wasn't hostile. This is a warning, or maybe an invitation. We need to respond. Respond how? Mara asked as she returned to the bridge. We don't even know what language it's using. The artifact, Elara said, her voice firm. It's dormant now, but the patterns in its signal. I think it was designed to teach. If we reactivate it, we might be able to send a reply. Orion's jaw tightened. You're asking me to turn that thing back on after it nearly tore this ship apart? Yes, Elara said without hesitation. Because if we don't, we'll never understand what we're dealing with. And if it wanted to destroy us, it would have already. The captain held her gaze for a long moment, then exhaled sharply. Fine. But the second it looks like it's going south, I'm pulling the plug. Understood? Elara nodded. Understood. The artifact's hum returned as the containment chamber's shielding was deactivated. Elara worked quickly, calibrating the lab's systems to interface with the device. The rhythmic pulses of light and sound resumed, their patterns more intricate than before. Here goes nothing, Elara muttered, initiating the transmission sequence. The artifact's glow intensified, and the ship shuddered slightly as the alien structure responded. On the main view screen, a beam of light shot from the Sentinel toward the planet's surface, connecting with the ruins. A second beam extended toward the Solstice, stopping just short of the hull. It hovered there, a shimmering column of energy that pulsed in time with the artifact. We're being scanned, Alvarez reported. No signs of damage or intrusion, but it's thorough. Elara's hands trembled as she monitored the readings. It's not scanning us. It's evaluating. Evaluating what? Mara asked. Our intent, Elara replied. The artifact's signal was a test. A way to gauge whether we're ready to engage with whatever this is. The bridge fell silent as the beam of light retracted, and the artifact dimmed. For a moment, it seemed like nothing would happen. Then, a deep voice, alien yet oddly resonant, filled the ship. Your kind has awakened the Watchers. The path forward is open. Prepare to ascend. On the view screen, the Sentinel shifted, its lights forming a vast, intricate pattern. The ruins below began to transform, their structures rearranging into a colossal gateway. Ascend to what? Orion demanded, his voice rising. Elara shook her head, her gaze fixed on the gateway. We're about to find out. The crew braced themselves as the Solstice was enveloped in a blinding light, the gateway pulling them toward an unknown destiny. Elara's heart pounded, equal parts terror and exhilaration. This is it, she whispered. The beginning of everything.